Bustamante. The 1984 film Revenge of the Nerds has proven to be as prophetic as it was pathetic. Times have changed and nerds have taken up the scepter enthroned advocated by the cool. In his 13th speech, Greg explores this topic in Project 4 from the Humorously Speaking Advanced Manual. The 6 to 8 minute speech is titled Revenge of the Nerds. Please welcome the notably nerdy, deceptively dorky, and genuinely geeky Greg.
Thank you, Jesse. That sounded a lot more glorious and dignified in my head. So some of you may have noticed there's a trend going on. It's actually most notably over the past 10 years. And that's been a mainstreaming of geek culture and a shift in power. Movies are dominated by comic book heroes. TV shows are about wizards and knights and dragons and aliens and physicists. The gaming industry was $91 billion last year. Everyone's toting around TI-82 calculators in their everyday life now.
Quite fun.
And pretty much there's just been a mainstreaming of a lot of geek culture that's infecting all of us now. The technology revolution has ushered in a renaissance of nerddom. My first exposure to the power of the uncool was in grade school. In 5th grade, as was custom, we were planning a field trip to Exchange City. Has anyone heard of Exchange City or been to Exchange City? Oh, awesome. So you guys know, this is all really fun. So Exchange City is this little mock city where you go for the day as a class and you have a job, you get a paycheck, you go and buy things and write checks and deposit your money into the bank. It's basically just like real life, which how fun is that? We were really excited to go and live this life. But Exchange City has a mayor. And leading up to the field trip, we had an election to determine who would be mayor of Exchange City. As it happened, I was one of the 2 candidates. My opponent was Steve McKinstry, the coolest and most popular guy in our grade. I didn't stand a chance, but that didn't stop me from trying. I went into full arts and crafts mode and made a bunch of cardboard pins that said Vote Greg. And I handed them out to everyone in the class. And I campaigned among everyone, the freaks, the geeks, the people that Steve McKinstry wouldn't even talk to. And when they announced the winner that day, my campaign manager tipped backwards in his chair and fell onto the floor. We had bested the most popular guy in our grade in a popular vote. And what that proved to me is that there's more uncool people than there are cool people. And that you can win an election with a basket of deplorables. The trend was in motion. The writing was on the wall. Now geeks, they really love details and they love arguments. They love facts. You do not want to get into a debate with a geek over some finite fact. Take Cyrus Wilson, for example. Cyrus Wilson was a classmate of mine in college, an engineering or science major of some sort. Now, Cyrus, I'm sure, had a lot to be proud of, but visibly, he was not the most intimidating guy in the world. He was pale, freckled, had a shock of red hair, and was doughy. But when it came to facts, you did not want to challenge Cyrus. Cyrus was the kind of guy who'd send you his manifesto in the mail and blow off a couple of your fingers. That didn't stop the master of our college, Southern gentleman, William Sledge, from laughing in Cyrus's face, however. You see, one evening, old Cyrus and Master Sledge got into a confabulation in the dining hall around the history and lore of mincemeat pie. When Cyrus posited that mincemeat pie, that meat was a literal ingredient, Master Sledge chuckled and brushed him off and dismissed him in front of his peers. Well, this was an affront to Cyrus's carefully curated facade of intellectual superiority. That set old Cyrus a fuming. And sure enough, that evening, everyone who was within earshot of that conversation got an email in their inbox with a carefully researched and documented proof of meat. So, as you can see, there is no detail in this universe that some geek somewhere will not vehemently defend tooth and nail. Now, geeks not only like details, but they like challenges. They like puzzles, games, and systems. I saw this in full display when I went to PAX South a couple weeks back with my brother Vince. Now, PAX South is a gaming convention in San Antonio that hosts tens of thousands of attendees. At this convention, geeks flock like a moth to light to soak in the culture and to play test new games and new technologies. And much like Lisa's Comic-Con, there's plenty of cosplay and assorted crimes against style and hygiene. Vince and I were just there as outsiders. Just there to watch the spectacle of geeks in the wild. And as we were sitting there in the convention hall playing a new board game, my brother looked up and scanned the sea of nerds. And he leans into me and he said, "Do you realize we look like everyone else here?" And suddenly it all made sense. I felt like Bruce Willis in Sixth Sense, suddenly realizing I'd been dead the whole time. And shame on you if you haven't seen that movie by now. I never thought of us as true geeks, just dabblers. I felt like we were hip anthropologists just kind of watching them at play, which was something of an indictment in and of itself. I thought I was Jane Goodall. I looked across at my brother, 38 years old, wearing shorts in 50-degree weather, with a backpack, goateed and glasses, and no doubtedly wearing some form of Captain America paraphernalia as he's inclined to do. And then myself, similarly, goateed, wearing outdated, though still highly functional, jeans and hoodie, outlet shoes. My bloated laptop bag was filled with adapters and dongles for my various multitude of devices. And of course, I had my Toastmasters Competent Leadership Manual with me as well. I was a 39-year-old man who still played, dabbled, with Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. It was in that moment of self-realization that I accepted my fate. And to you, dear audience, I say, do not fear the sweet siren's call of geekdom, luring you in. Caca, caca! And as a character in Sherlock Holmes, in the recent Sherlock Holmes series said, and this is fact, brainy is the new sexy. Thank you.
The bodacious brain of Greg Bustamante right there. Please take a moment to give your feedback.